Hi everyone, welcome to our first model in Fusion 360. I'm excited to be starting with you. I hope you're excited too. What we're going to be modeling today is this little Lego piece. It's a super simple little build. It'll show you the basics of how the program works, gives you some familiarity with it, and it'll be quick and easy. So we're going to build this by first creating a drawing, a sketch of this edge right here. So a little bit there, up, over, back down. And then we're going to do what's called extrude, which means we grab that sketch and we pull it into existence, into a three-dimensional model. Then we'll go to the top, we'll draw a circle, and then we'll pull the little nub right out of the top right there. So it's a fun little design. You can kind of see what it looks like there. Fun little design to get started with. We're going to ignore the inside, although maybe we will shell it out. We'll see. It's a quick and easy process. All right, first model, let's get going. First thing I'm going to do is just show you around. When you open Fusion 360, here's what you see. So you have a bunch of different menus up here. We're going to stay focused on the solid menu, and there'll be a few of you who might use the sheet metal one for a few projects. That bendy, the bendy plywood for like the pencil box and things, we'll use sheet metal. The rest of these we won't use. Let me show what they look like. If you see this menu, this is the surface menu, we won't use it in this class. It's got all these orange ones. The mesh is kind of yellowy. The sheet metal looks like the solid, but it's missing a bunch of stuff. And then the plastic one looks kind of like the solid one as well. Looks really close to it, but it's a little bit different. And then utilities. If you can't find some of the things that we're working on, check this up here to make sure you're on the right menu. All right, next we want to save our file. Up here in the top left corner is the save button. So it looks a little old disk. And we're going to call this, I'm going to save it into a project in my Lego bricks. So if you don't have a project, you can add a new project. I have lots of projects. There's a new project down here. You can call it Lego bricks. And then this one we're going to do just, I'm going to call it 1x1 slanted brick. Good. Give it a name that makes sense to you. I called it a 1x1 because there's only one nub on top, and slanted because of that angle right there. Hit save. You can see the top, instead of saying untitled, it says 1x1 slanted brick. All right, step number one. We need to create a sketch of one of its faces. So a face is one of the sides of it. We're going to actually start with this complex face here, and then move from there. To do this, I'm going to click on Create Sketch button right here. Create a sketch. It's going to ask me where I want to create a sketch. If I move my mouse around, I can be on the front face, the side face, or the bottom face. Because I'm creating a sketch of the side face, I'm going to choose the side face one right here. I'm going to click. It's going to rotate that around for me and create a sketch. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start in this back corner here. And I've got a bunch of these pieces. If you want one, you can grab one and totally do this as well and follow along. So I'm going to start this back corner here, sketch along the bottom, up here and around the two sides. Let's get started. So I'm going to first grab a line drawing tool. So I have a line right here. I'm going to go right down to the middle of my sketch. I like to start my sketches when I can, right in the middle of the sketch. It kind of anchors them in one place. I'm going to click and drag a line over. Notice how Fusion is asking me how long is this side. So what I'm going to do is grab my handy calipers. I'm going to open them up and I'm going to measure this bottom edge, which is what I'm putting into the thing. That edge right there. And it says 15.85. So I'm going to type in 15.85 and make sure it's at 0 degrees straight across and hit and click to set the measurement. Notice how it's already asking me, it wants to draw another line. To get out of this, I can hit escape, or I can just draw my next line. I'm going to show you a few things. First of all, how do you zoom in on an object? So to do that, you're going to just roll your mouse ball on the mouse, the little mouse wheel, roll it up, roll it down, it will zoom in and out. So I can zoom in really close, or I can zoom in super far away. So I'm going to fill most of the screen with the drawing so far. Now notice something else. This part's super hard to get used to, but you will quickly. This looks like we've drawn a rectangle, but we haven't. This part on top is the measurement line. It tells you that this line, the real line down here, is 15.8 centimeters long. I can click on the 15.85 and drag it, whoops, click on it and drag it down below. It's just telling me how big. I can tell that because these lines are thin and this line is thick. So a thick line is a real line, the thin ones are measurement lines. If that's confusing to you, you'll get used to it soon. The next thing I'm going to do is I've drawn this bottom line now. I'm going to use my calipers and I'm going to measure how tall that back line is. So along the back edge like this, I'm getting 9.61. If you want to use calipers and do this along with me, you can use your numbers too, not mine. They'll be a little different. So 9.61, and I'm going to push enter there. Right? So now it's drawn the line for me. Everything's super happy. So far I've got 9.61, 15.85. I'm working in millimeters right now. To check what you're working, let's stop and do that. Over here on this left-hand side, it's called Document Settings. If you click this little down arrow, it opens up the settings. Mine say units millimeter. If I want to change that, I would hit this little edit key over here, and I would choose a different unit. My advice for all the Lego stuff is millimeters because they're really small. It'd be easier numbers to work with. So I'm going to hit cancel. Next thing I want to do is I want to measure how far across the top the top is. So I'm going to measure it like this-ish. This one I'm going to be a little bit janky with. I can't get a perfect measurement, but I'm going to get as close as I can and live with it. I'm getting 8.26. So to draw that part, I'm going to take a line tool. I'm going to start here on this line here, and I'm going to draw over, and I'm going to say 8.2, what did I say? 26. 8.26, and I'm going to hit enter to draw the line. Now notice I have 3 lines drawn. This thick line, this thick line, this thick line. All this stuff out here is just measurement lines. I can move them around and put them in different places. So far I've drawn 3 lines. The bottom, the side, and the top. I need to come down at an angle and then connect up with this little one. To do this, I'm actually going to measure this little thing right here first. And again, I can't get a really good measurement, but I'm going to get the best I can. I'm getting 2.23 millimeters. So I'm going to click on my line tool again, come over here to this end and drag up, and then where it says 3 point, I'm going to go 2.23 millimeters and hit enter. That's drawn that line. I'm going to take the measurement which is on the inside and drag it to the outside and just drop it out here. Last thing I need to do now is connect this line to this line. That's this sloping part across here. And if I've done all my measurements correctly, it should make a very similar feature. It should look just like the Lego I have, the side of it. So down here, all the way to this one, and click. This one I'm not going to enter in a distance for. Notice that when I do that, let me check a few things. It looks a little wonky to me. Yep, that's good. Yeah, the top is a little wonky. This top is a square. It really should be 7.8, not 8.2. So here's a nice thing. Instead of starting over again, right now I'm in the line tool, so I'm going to hit escape to leave the line tool. I'm going to double click on the 8.26 and change it to the better value of 7.8. 7.8, and watch what it does. It automatically redoes everything for me. So Fusion is really nice that way. All right, next thing I want to do is I'm going to extrude this. So let me show you what I just did before I move on. In the top right corner of the screen up here is this cube. If you click and drag on this cube, so click your button down, hold it, move it around, you can actually rotate your sketch in all kinds of weird directions. If you get lost in where you are, you're like, ooh, I don't know where I am. You're going to rotate it around until you see the back, the word called back, and you're going to click on it. Nope, not back, sorry. It's going to be left side or right side, one of the two. I think we did right side, so I'm going to rotate it around. Yeah, we did right side. So you should have that image. If it says right here, you're good. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to extrude this. We're going to grab this shape and pull it into existence. So E for extrude is the easiest way to do it. I'm going to grab my cube here and just tip it a little bit. Not too much, just a little bit. Now I can see the arrow that I'm extruding. I can grab this arrow and literally drag it, and I'm making the object now. So that's pretty cool. To figure out how far I have to drag it, I want to measure how deep this is, how far this is. So I'm going to go right here to the back and measure that. And that's 7.82. 7.82. Enter. And now I've got my object. If I grab my cube up here, I can rotate it around and take a look at stuff. So that is pretty sweet. We are almost done. All right. Next thing I want to do is I want to add that little nub on top. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to click the Create a Sketch button over in the top left-hand corner. And I'm going to create this sketch now on the top of here where the nub goes. So right on the top of the 3D, I'm going to create a sketch. I'm going to use what's called a construction line. Now, you're learning a lot right now. You don't have to know all this, so don't get too freaked out about it. I want to know where the middle of this top is. So I'm going to create what's called a construction line. I'm going to turn on the line over there, select my line feature, come over here to this options over here where it says line type. I'm going to turn on this first one called construction. And then I'm going to come back over here. Notice how it turns blue. I'm going to come over here and go to a corner of, oh, here it is. This is the square. This is the top. If I look from the side, that's the slope. That's the top. I'm going to click back onto the top view. Top corner to bottom corner, or you could have gone in this diagonal this way. And I'm going to add another one actually across the other diagonal. Put an X in there. Where this X crosses is the center of that square. Now, one thing you could notice is that when you're doing a construction line, it's a dashed line instead of a solid line. That means that you can't extrude this. We'll talk more about what that means later. To draw a circle, all I'm going to do is come up here and I'm going to grab the circle tool. I'm going to go down to where I see the center point. A triangle means midpoint or center point. So when you see a triangle, that means you're at the midpoint. I'm going to click on that and drag the circle out. Notice the circle is a dashed line. That means my construction line is still turned on. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to go over here with my mouse, turn construction line off. Notice how the circle went to a solid line. That's what I'm looking for. And now I'm going to measure the width of that circle. So I'm just going to put it there like this. I'm going to say 4.78. 4.78. Enter. Awesome. So that is that circle. But notice that there's no height to it. If I rotate the screen around a little bit, there's actually nothing there yet. I need to go E for extrude, click on that circle. Now I'm going to measure how deep. I'm going to use my shoulder measuring tool here, and I'm going to measure how deep that nub is. And I'm getting 1.84. So I'm going to say 1.84 and hit enter. And that's it. We made our first model. So we can see it's solid. It's not hollowed out. It's not quite done, but we did a really nice job. We got an idea of what we do. The main process is you create a sketch, draw the shape of the thing you want to extrude, and then extrude it out into reality. Super cool. Great job. I hope you got familiar with stuff. Before we leave, go ahead and hit the save button and then click OK. And once that asterisk goes away up here, it's going to be saved. Turn this in, so this would be a good chance for you to learn how to turn in assignments. So go to Google Classroom, find this assignment, turn it in. Everything's awesome. Great job today. You ready for number 2?